Okay, so what are we going to be doing today? So let's have a look at the next part. So after we have created the iPhone, what we're going to do is add in a couple of more div containers for some different types of content. So the first thing is going to be how to embed a YouTube video, and then we're also going to do an image gallery or a slideshow. And with those things incorporated into our website, what we're going to be doing is creating a nav bar that will stay at the top of our website. So as we scroll, it is fixed in this position. And you'll also see that we can click on certain links on the nav bar that will take us to different parts of the website. So that is really, really cool. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So this is what we are up to. We've got our website, Apple website. We don't have a nav bar yet. We've got the iPhone and nothing else created. So next up, we're going to create a new div tag. So let's go to our index.html page. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look for where the iPhone finishes. So, and just before the next text, or what we could do is actually go after this link that we added, and we can always change this right in later on. And we'll go somewhere in here after the URL and just before the Apple logo. So if I go in here, I can see that's my URL there, and this was the Apple logo. So let's just create some space in here, and let's create a new div tag. So I'm going to create a div tag and open that up. Now this div tag, let's give it a name. So let's give it a class. So we'll call it class equals, and we'll call it trailer. So this is where we're going to look at some YouTube videos, copy and embed code, and bring it into this inside this div code. Now before we copy and paste the embed code from YouTube, what we want to do is just set up this div tag with a nice heading and things like that. So let's bring a heading level 1 in there, and what we'll do is we'll just give it a heading, and I'll just say titanium because of the new iPhone. And let's go with a heading level 2 as well. And what we'll just say is just a nice little catchphrase: new camera, new design, new Foria. It's straight from Apple's website, that, so don't blame me for the funny words. All right, so we're going to add in a line break here. So remember from our first tutorial, if you wanted to create some space in between, you can add in what's called a line break using this code BR with a / just before it. And now what we're going to do is actually copy and paste from YouTube an embed code. So it's an iframe code. So let's go find the trailer for the new iPhone. If you wanted to copy and paste a different trailer or video from YouTube, you can do that as well. There we go, perfect. So I'm going to click on the video, and what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and where we've got the share button, and what we want to do is get this code here, share embed code. So we're going to click on that, and they're going to give us the code. So we're just going to copy this iframe code. And if you wanted it to start at a particular time in the video, you can also do that, and that will put that code inside the embed code that you're copying. And let's go back into your HTML page. And right after the break, so we're still inside the div tag trailer. What we're going to do is just paste that iframe code in there. It's a very long code as well. I'll just drop it down so we can see it properly. Okay, it's a bit long. We should wrap our text, but that's all right. So it is an iframe. If you wanted to change the width and the height of the video that is embedded in the website, we can do that later by just changing the width and height here. But if we kind of go through this iframe, just so you guys know exactly what's happening, you've got obviously the width and height of the frame. What's going in the frame? Well, there is a search here and it's picking up the YouTube video URL, the embed version of that URL. It's giving the iframe a title, so YouTube video player. It's saying that we don't want a frame. And then it allows a few elements, for example, an accelerometer, autoplay function, and so on. So a lot of different enabled features like picture in picture and stuff like that. And then it allows full screen as well. And then the iframe closes. Now this is all within our div. So we haven't added any CSS to our div just yet. And that's okay, we are going to do that, but let's save this and see what it looks like before we actually do anything with our div in the CSS code. So let's go over to our website and refresh it. And if we scroll down, there is our next div. So we've got titanium, new camera, new design, new Euphoria, and we've got the trailer. And if I just make it bigger so we can see, everything looks good. The trailer is getting pushed to the left side of our website, and if we want to center it, we can do a couple of things there with the div tag in a second, but that looks pretty good. So we've got our first part of the website, which is our iPhone, and then as we scroll down, we've got our second div, which is this huge area here, and that is containing a header, level 1 heading, a level 2 heading, and also our iframe that we embedded from YouTube. Now let's go over to our CSS code and let's actually do a little bit of coding for that. So we called that class for the div a trailer. So what we're going to do is say dot trailer. And for this div, just so you guys can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a background color. You guys don't have to do this unless you want to see it for yourself. It doesn't matter what color I choose. I'm just going to choose anything. And let's just see what it looks like. So that is your div area right there. Okay, so that's the div right there. So this is the div container, and inside that container is your heading, and trailer here. Now we'll get rid of that color in a second, but let's do a couple of more things. So the first thing I want to do with this div is make sure that we are centering everything. So let's go about doing that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add in a width. So we're going to say width should be 100%. So that makes sure that this div is 100% of your screen or your website's page. So even if it doesn't matter what the screen size is, it will make sure that it's 100%. We're also going to display flex, and we'll also justify the content. So we'll say justify content, and we'll say on the center, and we'll also let's think, we want a little bit of maybe align. Let's align the items to the center, and also text align center. That should be good. I mean, those things probably aren't going to matter, but let's have a look at them. So let's save that and refresh this page. Okay, now our div, we've made that mistake again where we haven't specified how the flex should operate. So it's going in a row. So it's actually, by default, it's going in a row. So it's putting everything in a row. We want it to be the flex type as a column. So let's change that. So flex direction, and we want it in a column. Let's save that. and refresh, and that's looking better. Now, a couple of other things. You can see that the bottom of the trailer is right on the edge of the div tag. The heading has a little bit of space, which is good, but the bottom there's no gap there. So what we might want to do is put in some padding or a margin. So we can say padding on the bottom, and what we can do is say adding like a 30 pixels padding on the bottom. So let's save that and let's see what that looks like as well. So there's a little bit of a gap. If you wanted more of a gap, say for example 100 pixels, you could also do that, and there you've got a bigger gap there. So it's completely up to you what you want to do for that, but at the moment that's looking pretty good. We've got our titles and we've got the trailer embedded, and just so you can see, if I play the trailer, it does work. It's embedded. We've got all the controls YouTube gives us, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's do our next div, and we might actually get rid of that background color that we added, unless you really like having a different colored background for all your sections. We'll just get rid of that so it looks like it's one page, but it's completely up to you. You could even add in background images later on and things like that. All right, let's add in our next div tag. So this was the div that we added, trailer. So we're going to go after the closing div tag for trailer, and we're going to add in a new one. So let's add in a div tag and open it up. And let's add in a class for this particular div. And the class, what we're going to call it is an image gallery. So you could say image underscore gallery if you wanted to, something like that. And we're going to be copying and pasting code from W3 Schools. Now, I've already got it open, which is good. And I'm in the how-to section. So if you click on to how-to and then scroll down, and what you're looking for is under images, and you've got two options here. You've got a normal slideshow, and this is how the slideshow operates. So you've got these ellipses that you can go through. You can use these, or you have the option of using this second slideshow. So this second slideshow gallery will give you thumbnails on the bottom. It will also allow you to cycle through the images like that yourself. So just pick one of those. I'm just going to go with the standard one. You can try any of them. If you wanted to use something else, for example, modal images or lightbox or something else, then you're just going to basically do the same thing I'm doing now. We're going to be copying the code over to our div tag. So let's go over to this. You can see it does give us all of the HTML code we want. So it says to create a slideshow, just copy this example. So I'm going to copy the entire thing. Now these, just so you know, these green codes here, these are just comments. So it's not actually code, it's just comments to explain what these things are. All right, so let's copy that. And making sure that I've just got the HTML code, not the CSS code. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go over to my div image tag, and I'm going to paste all of that in there. Cool. So that's all pasted in exactly how they gave it to me. And we're also going to copy the CSS. So this is step number 2. It's saying to copy the CSS. And let's copy all of it. And we're going to paste this in our style sheet. So make sure you go to your style.css page, and at the bottom of it, you can paste all of that code in there. Now, Obviously, they've got images that we don't have. So this carousel has three or four images of some different environments around the world. Now we don't have those images. So before we test to see if this carousel works, this image gallery works, let's head over to your index.html page, and we need to actually change the images that we're getting for the slideshow. So let's go in and let's have a look at this, and we'll just kind of talk a little bit about all of the different aspects of this image gallery. So you can see it's all made up of div tags, and there's a specific class for each of these div tags, and that class in our CSS is controlling things like the animations and the buttons that trigger the change in the photos and stuff like that. The important part we're after for each image is this part here where it says image search. So we don't actually have these images in our folders, okay? So we need to get rid of this, and we need to put in our own images. So our images are in a folder called images. And if you wanted to add your own images in there, just go and download some images from the internet. Make sure they're in that folder, and then you'll see them come up here. So what I might do is just pick these three pictures: iPhone colors, iPhone colors 2, iPhone colors 3. So I'm just going to click on that one for the first div. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to choose the next one, iPhone colors 2, and I'm going to go to the next picture, and we're going to go iPhone colors 3. Perfect. Now, if you wanted to add more images, so this is only 3 images for this slideshow. If you wanted to add more, well, it's quite simple. We would need to copy this last div here, copy, and then paste it. And then obviously we would need to change a little bit of the coding. So we'd need to change the image. Okay. We would also, and I'll just delete that for now, we would also need to go over here to this particular part here and make sure that we've added in an extra dot. Okay, so if you've got 4 pictures, then you're going to need 4 of these dots. If you've got 10 of these pictures, then you're going to need 10 of these dots. So you would copy this span code. If you've got 4 pictures or 5 pictures, you put them all in and just make sure you number the slide correctly. Okay, but I'm just going to leave it at 3. And let's scroll out. Now, before we test it, let's just go over to the CSS and just have a quick look at all of the different code we've copied in. The good thing is these green sections here explain exactly what each of these are. So this is the slideshow container. This hides the images by default. This code here is your next and previous buttons. So this is all about styling the next button. This is all about styling the on hover when you're hovering your mouse over it. This is your caption text, and that's something we haven't looked at yet, but we'll go back and have a look at that in a second. This is your number text, your dots. So this is your animation, your hover over, and keyframes. So opacity of those keyframes, the fade effect. Okay, so let's save this. Make sure both your index and CSS style sheet is saved. Initial div that we created called image gallery, we haven't added anything in the style sheet about that. So let's go over to the style sheet real quickly and let's add some information about that. So dot image gallery, and let's specify a couple of things. So the width should be 100%, and let's specify a height as well. So let's say, actually what we might do is say minimum height. So this has to be the minimum height of this particular div tag, and we might just specify 600 pixels for now. We might change this a little bit later. Let's also add in a margin left and make that automatic, and also a margin right and make that automatic. And just so we can see it for now, let's add in a background color. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do if we head back to the W3 schools is to add in some JavaScript. Now at the moment, we've only been using HTML code and CSS code. So this is the first time we're going to be using JavaScript code in our website. Now, JavaScript basically allows the user who is on your website to maybe click on a button, and that button will do some sort of action on your page. Now, the good thing is that step number 3, we've got all the JavaScript, so we can actually just copy this last part, and we're going to go back into our website. Now, where do you paste JavaScript? Do you put it in your HTML or do you put it in your style sheet? You put the JavaScript in your HTML document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go just outside the last part of the slideshow image gallery, and I'm still within my div tag, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And I'm going to add a script code. And I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to paste the script or the JavaScript inside here. So there it is there. So that's all of the code right there, and I'm going to save this. Make sure that my style sheet is also saved, and let's head over to our website and let's refresh it. And there we go. There is our image gallery. So that was the last step that we were missing, was the JavaScript part of the website, and here we are. Now we do have a caption that we can add in as well. So let's just sort that out. So if we go back to our 3 images, you'll see each image underneath it also has a div caption text. So we can just put whatever we want in there. iPhone 15. The next one can be iPhone 15 Pro, and then the last caption can be iPhone 15 Pro Max. Okay, so let's save that, refresh this page, and we've got our little captions there. We could probably even change the text color so that we can see them a little bit better. Perfect. Now I'm just going to remove that blue background that we put into our div, our image gallery div, just so it looks seamless. Excellent. We might even put a little header, little heading in front of that. So let's go back to our index page. Let's scroll up to the top of our image gallery, and just inside our first div tag, and we'll put in a heading level 1, and we'll just call it the iPhone family. And let's put in a heading level 2, and we can say meet all the iPhones. Cool. Let's see what that looks like. Perfect. Okay, again, if we wanted a little bit of a gap there, we can go over to our CSS, and for the image gallery, we could add in either a margin or some padding. So we can add in some padding on the bottom, maybe 100 pixels. Okay. Perfect. A little bit more space there at the bottom. All right. Well, we've got a website now that has a few sections. So this is our first section with our little iPhone here, with our nav buttons and stuff like that. We've got our second section here, which is, a trailer for the new iPhone. And then as we scroll down, we've got an image gallery as well, which is working. And you can change these pictures and put your own pictures in as well later on. Okay. The next thing we're going to be doing is actually creating the navigation bar, and that navigation bar will automatically go to each of these sections. So I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.